Starting.
when you oh,
Go, Colin.
all right. So I'll go. Colin Crandall here with another amazing interview. MMA professional. You guys know me from MMA Power Hour, credentialed media for 8 years with the UFC. I am so happy to talk to one of my favorite guests of my entire 8 year interviewing career. She is the amazing former UFC standout, now commentator. She is one of the greatest faces of women's MMA, in my opinion, and many others. We are talking about none other than the karate hottie, Michelle Waterson. How are you doing, Michelle?
Oh, that was a great introduction. I'm doing great. Did the kids class today at jiu-jitsu, and just turning the chapter and kind of trying to explore this whole new avenue after fighting.
Absolutely. Well, that sounds great. And we've got a lot of great questions for you here. I have my panel, the A team here, two Aussies and Americans. So we got two Aussies and two Americans here. My Aussie teammate, of course, a Danny, MMA fangirl, and my man Jay's an Aussie fight fan. And so, since Michelle mentioned about kids' class, why don't I throw it over to Danny, who actually had some questions
Ooh,
about that?
I do. It's so nice to meet you, Michelle. Thank you for taking the time. I've got two very young girls who've literally just started karate in the last 6 months. They're having an absolute ball, which has been amazing to see. Given you're working with the kids and you've got a really strong background, what advice would you give to young ones that are starting out in martial arts? Not necessarily like looking toward fighting, but just keeping with it and the ethic that works with it.
Right. Well, when I first started karate, I don't think it was ever on my radar that I was going to be a professional fighter. I just thought it was cool. I wanted to be like a Ninja Turtle, and like I saw it. The more artistic side of it, the more I wanted to be a cool superstar movie person. But the more I got into it, the more I understood how I could relate it more to my real life. And what I tell all the kids is that actually it's more talking to the parents. The parents are the ones that are in control of bringing their kids to class, and some of them are really apprehensive if they're misbehaving, or they're afraid that their personality isn't going to mesh well with the others. And I just tell them, like, look, we all are going to have our own journeys, and whatever journey your kid is having is their own specific journey, and you have to let them go through it. And sometimes it'll take a kid a couple of weeks to kind of for it to kind of click and them to start enjoying it. Sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes years, but all of our journeys are the same, and you have to give them space to learn, and you have to trust your coaches that they're guiding them in the right direction. I have a lot of kids first getting into jujitsu and martial arts, and we play games, and they don't know how to lose, and that's part of doing sports, is like understanding how to be a good sport, understanding how to lose. Because growing up, when you play like Monopoly or and stuff with your parents always let you win. And then you get into martial arts, and it's not that way, and it's up to us as the coaches to teach you, like, look, it's part of the journey. Losing's part of the journey, winning's fun too, but you're gonna learn regardless. And you really have to, um when, as a parent, when your child is having a hard day, you have to allow them to have that hard day, but you also have to remind them that the hard days um, won't be there forever, and the hard day will motivate them to have a good day. I don't
That's
know.
amazing. No, it does. It's really, really amazing. It certainly resonates a lot here. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course.
Absolutely. So, Michelle, you also, I want to throw out an homage to, not homage, but respect to your husband, Josh Gomez. You are Michelle Waterson-Gomez. I see Michelle Waterson, but I want to throw that out there. Josh is an amazing guy. And your daughter, let me guess, because I've been following you from the beginning. I know Danny's got some questions about that, but when we first talked, I said I watched you on Fight Girls on the Oxygen Network when you were 18 years old. And that was before your first UFC fight. And so a long time. But I am gonna guess your daughter's got to be like 13 or something. How close am I?
Yep, you're right on the dot. She's 13. She'll be 14 in March.
I'm amazing with numbers. Let me tell you another crazy skill that I have, and that skill is all right because it makes people smile. The other skill I have is terrible. I am great at guessing women's weight. This
Are
is
you
a
gonna guess
terrible.
my weight?
Well, yeah, you know what? Since you are slim and fit, as always, I'm gonna say, if you would like, if you are you down for it? I never thought about that. Would you like? Can we play that real quick?
We can play that. We can play
Okay.
that game.
All
And
right.
you will only ever be able to play this game with fighters.
I was gonna say, I think so. I'm not gonna. That's what I was saying. That skill with the average woman is a bad skill to have. To go around guessing women's weight will be a bunch of punches in the face or slaps at least. I'm gonna say you never really had a huge cut at all to 15, but you got some good muscle on you. So I'm gonna say right now, you are probably 126.
Oh my gosh, you're so sweet.
Ah, a little bit higher, huh?
I show up to fight week at about 128, 129.
Okay. That's right. You have
And,
been doing flyweight.
and I cut to 115. No, I will cut
Oh,
to
no.
115
Right.
from that weight. Right now I'm probably 141.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well,
Yeah.
hey, you've got that muscle tone. You look gorgeous. And so it isn't really all about weight. I was off with the weight, but you are a fit 141.
I'll take it.
I
Maybe
love
it's
it.
the turtleneck.
There we go. Well, I don't think you can look bad. I have never seen Michelle Waterson look bad, so I think it's going to be a hard one for you to make happen. I don't think you want to. You're always looking amazing. Let me throw it to Aussie Fight Fan. Jason, go ahead.
Good day, Michelle. Nice to talk to you.
How are you?
I just wanted to ask you, you were on the desk at the last event. Yeah, good. It looks to be something that maybe you're looking to do in the future. Is this going to be something that's ongoing, or was it just kind of a one-off?
I would love to continue to do it. I just make myself available. They have a lot of people behind the desk right now with, I mean, the list is endless, with Cormier, DC, Felder, and then we have Chiesa, and then you have, so the list is endless, and I have to earn my stripes, and so I will always make myself available, and the more I'm behind the desk, the more comfortable I'll get with it, and I hope that eventually I will become a part of the cast that you see more often than not.
Love that. Danny, back to you.
No problem. So a bit of a segue from the weight. I'm going to go slightly different. Michelle, I know you have fought at atom weight in your career, and there's been a lot of chat, I guess, across the fans within the UFC about pushing for a female atom weight division to be created because it would ideally unlock a bit of a market. Do you think that the UFC would ever really take that seriously?
I mean, if you like they say, if you build it, they will come. I think that especially internationally, if you have a 105 division, there are girls in that weight class that will absolutely rock it. I know so many girls that are on the more petite side that have a hard time finding fights because they're always fighting up, and it's affecting their record and stuff like that. And if only they had a place at 105 that they would be able to crush it. And so I do believe that there is a space for 105ers. If they make space for 145ers in the UFC, they can make space for 105ers in the UFC.
Yeah, I agree. And I thought that might be close to your heart, that topic. And I think it'd be amazing. I don't think it'd be silly not to build more female division. There's so much hype. It's exciting. I love it. I'd love to see more.
I think so too. And I feel like, the strawweight division is very stacked. Right now, and so if you introduce another division of smaller, feistier girls, that's who's going to be coming out the woodworks. The international girls, especially in the Asian countries, they're all petite, but that doesn't take away from their power. That doesn't take away from their technique, and they'd love a platform as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I can say in person, these smaller, feistier girls can be a handful too, even personally, but a positive, fun handful. Anyway, let me ask you. I'm looking at your record. I do not think you have had a rematch and have never fought an opponent twice. Is that right?
Well, I did. I fought Marina. She was a rematch.
That's right. One. Okay, that was the one. All right. Was there someone else that you would love to have run it back with? And if so, who was that?
I mean, and all of my losses, I would have loved to run it back. Even my last fight, I feel like there's so many shoulda, woulda, couldas, but I mean, you can quarterback Monday it all day,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's the beauty of the fight world is like, or it's kind of like the difference between theater and a movie, right? As soon as they close the cage behind you and they call go, whatever happens, happens. You can't take it back.
Yeah, so true. Was there a fight that you felt you won, but the judges did not give you the W?
A couple.
And either one you
I
like to mention, or is it? Oh,
I
sorry.
think that my fight against Carla, I thought I won my fight
Yeah,
against Carla,
I did too. I did too.
and I also thought I won my fight against Luana.
Yeah, yeah. Do you feel that the judging has improved at all over the years in MMA, stayed the same, or gotten worse?
It's kind of the wild west out there with these judges. It really is hit or miss, and I don't I you know I've spoken to some of the judges because especially after some of those bad calls, it's like trying to figure out like what are you seeing that I'm not, and I talked to a ref who was also a judge, and he was trying to explain to me how they're breaking down the rounds and how effective and not effective and how aggression plays into it. And it you know from the sounds of it, there are a lot of actual martial artists, MMA practitioners that are judges. It's just I don't know. I think they need to lock it up a little tighter. 5 rounds there's a lot of action in 5 rounds. It's always been of my opinion that I always thought it would be cool to give to give a minute to each fighter, right? So like as the minutes are going by, it's like, okay, that fighter won that minute. This fighter won that minute. And then so because 5 minutes is an odd number, right? And so I've known a lot of fighters to milk the first 3 minutes of a round and then turn it up the last 2 minutes to win it.
Yeah.
And that is very strategic. And for some people, it plays in their hand, and for others, it doesn't because they're like explosive from the beginning because they're trying to get stuff done right off the bat. So yeah, I just there's a lot to be said about that, and it's still very. I still think MMA is very new in all of that, and in where it's gone and how it's evolving. So I think MMA has evolved, and I think that the judging needs to evolve along with it.
Absolutely. Great answer. I'm going to do one more quick one, then we'll throw it to Jason. You're a longtime teammate of John Bones Jones, the legend, a very unique guy with a very unique career. I know from talking to a lot of people over the years at Jackson Wink that there to family, he's a great guy. I remember one of the guys said that a new guy can come in who no one knows, and John's there, and he'll give him like his expensive duffel bag or a brand new one, and then a whole bunch of gear, literally just say, hey, man, welcome. So that I've heard a lot of people there have said he's a great guy. A lot of people that don't know him feel he's not a great guy, but some people love him, hate him. He's got a lot of talent. Tom Aspinall, everyone is saying, all you got to do, this is it. This is the fight. There's no reason not to do it, John. Yes, you'll be the underdog. Yes, you're older by 7 years. No reason not to do it. And John's kind of like, I don't really like this guy. I don't have too much to prove, and I'm not sure about this. What's your thought? Will we see that happen? And if we don't, does it make sense to you? I'm not trying to have you throw any shade on John, but should we accept if he doesn't make it happen that we should still be happy with what he's done over the years, or does he need to make this fight happen?
I don't think it's up to the audience,
No,
or the
right. That's for sure.
spectators
No.
to for us to take away his legacy for in that. You know what I mean? I think it's on him, and it's what he's content with. If he's content with what he's done, and he has done plenty, and he should be content with walking away. That's cool. But if he wants to, take on a new challenge this late in his career, then that's cool as well. It's kind of hard for for a fighter to say like when you're in it. I don't think you really ever realize like, okay, this is the peak of my career. This is as we're getting down on my career. That you never think about any of that stuff because you're in it to win it, and you are locked in, and the only goal in sight is the fight in front of you, and every fighter's goal is to be a champion, right? And so that was the hardest part for me, to walk away, because I still have the spirit of a competitor. I still feel like I can compete against the girls in the strawweight division. And so um, it's kind of like that addiction, right? Because we're constantly chasing to be better. And the truth is, father time catches up to all of us. And it is what it is. And if John wants to end it without fighting Tom, then I don't think that takes away anything from his legacy.
Makes sense. Last quick one. Is that a fight he can win, and would it be his biggest challenge?
Yeah, I think if John's good at doing anything, it's winning. He knows how to win.
That is true. Sounds good. And whoever's up next, Danny, Aussie. Danny?
Yeah, I'll go. Sorry, I got a little bit of a delay. I hope it's not
Okay,
a bit of an
that's
issue
good.
here. I was just going to ask you, Michelle. You've been a pioneer of the sport. Started, back in 2007. Being so young and coming out of high school and modeling and things at the time, what was the conversation like when you tell your family you're going to go from modeling to getting punched in the face, and how supportive were they?
I don't think that they really thought anything of it, and maybe they didn't think that it was something that was going to stick for as long as it did. But they knew how passionate I was about martial arts. And so they just said, if this is something that I was passionate about, to give it my all and to continue to train so that I don't get hurt. And I think that's kind of, my immediate family were more okay with it than I would say like my external family, like my aunts and uncles and stuff like that. I think it was a little harder for my dad too, to see me with black eyes and stuff like that. But it's what I love to do. So
Want to go again with another one, Jason? Or if not, we can throw it to Danny. Either way, whatever you guys want.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly touch on one of your earlier fights. You won pretty early in your career a fight in the first 15 seconds via flying armbar. Was that something you obviously had game planned coming in? You just thought, I'm just going to grab this girl and try this move, or was it just kind of off the whim?
it's funny. I was so nervous for that fight. It was me and one of my teammates, Julie Kenzie, and we were in the middle of nowhere, North Dakota. It was like so like below zero outside. We're at this Indian casino, and I just remember pacing it back and forth in the locker room, and Julie just looking at me and telling me like, Michelle, just go out there and have fun. Do like, be creative. Who knows? Maybe you might catch a flying armbar. And she literally just threw it out there like that. It wasn't anything I didn't game plan it. I never trained it. But the fight breaks out and I go to throw a kick. And this happened to me a lot earlier in my career because I have that karate background. Is I would throw a kick and they would catch it to take me down. And so I threw this kick and I remember her catching it and I was like, oh, we're going down. And I just, in my mind, I was like, well, I might as well try to, get something out of this while I'm going down. So then I held onto her arm and I took it home.
I love that. It's actually, I've got a similar related question off of that, Michelle. You've got some amazing leg kicks. Like, I love watching you in action. It's so exciting how fast and explosive you are and how quickly you can close the distance. But I was flicking through your record as well, and you had 9 submissions on there. So I'm wondering, do you have a preference in terms of like if you were going to get a KO or you're going to get a sub? What's your favorite move? Because you're so good at both.
I mean, I always hoped to get more KOs. I think that moving up to the strawweight division kind of made it a little harder for me to get those, and also just the caliber of fighters that I was fighting in the UFC just makes it a little harder, because the higher up you go in rankings, the harder it is to get any of those finishes. But I love getting the KOs, the TKOs, and I love getting the submissions too. They're both very satisfying because you can kind of just put that little exclamation mark on the end of that fight.
Definitely. And I do have one more, when I'll hand back to Colin. So one of our friends, I'll give him a shout out, Trace Fight Picks. He's been following you since the early days through Fight Club as well. So I guess the question is, how did you find the reality format and the experience? Is it something you would consider doing in the future, and what did you take away from it?
I think that I remember going into that show and talking to my brother about it, worried that they were going to, skew the way I was, the type of person I was, just to make it good for TV. And my brother just told me to be myself, and as long as I was myself, that I wouldn't have any issues, because they couldn't mess that up.
Love that. Great question, Danny. What is it like? It's got to be great kind of to look at yourself live on video at 18. It's got to make you smile sometimes, because you can remember exactly what you were thinking then, and the difference between your knowledge now and life experience from then. What are some of the favorite things from watching that, and what do you look at back then in those days thinking, what were you like on target about and not on target? What would you have told an 18-year-old Michelle Waterson if you were able to have had a minute with her at this age, somehow gone back in time and like in a time machine?
I think what I would have told myself is to believe and trust in my skills and abilities. I think that because I grew up in a traditional, Asian household with a very patriotic father who was in the military, and I grew up understanding that there's a pecking order in martial arts, and I always felt like I was on the bottom totem pole of this pecking order, and that I was working my way up the ladder. Obviously, I was 18, I was young, I was green. Going into this show, there were other girls that had been fighting 6, 7, 8 years, and I gave them a lot of respect. And I almost want to say I probably gave them too much respect, because it played a part in the way that I fought them. So I wish I could have told myself to separate the respect that I have for them as a person and a martial artist with separate that, continue to have respect for them, but also have respect for yourself, and give yourself the respect that you deserve, because you have put in the work. And I needed to, I would have liked to have reminded myself that I belonged, and that it was okay for me to win.
Love that. One more for me, and then I'll throw it to Jason, Aussie fight fan. Looking back at the amazing fighters that you competed against, just like yourself, amazing warriors. Here's like a part A, B, C. Who do you feel is the most talented fighter you ever competed against? Which fighter that you competed against, fought against, do you like the best? And which fighter that you fought against surprised you the most with how talented she was?
Oh my gosh, that is a hard one. Okay, so the first one is, which one did I like the best?
You could do
Which
that. Yeah.
fight did I like
Yeah.
the best? Is that one?
Yeah.
I really, I really love Rose, and I really love Joanna. Both of those girls, and they're both very different. Rose to me is just she's very grounded, and just has known who she was from the get-go. And I really love that about her. And Joanna, she just is a warrior.
Yeah.
And she brings it. And it's funny because there was this aura about her, and this I don't know if it was like a mystique, or a lot of people thought that she was super intimidating. But when I signed the dotted line to fight her, it was, to me, it was just like exciting, because it was great competition. And like I could tell you a quick story. Everybody knows that iconic stare off that Joanna has, where she's like hunched over her
Yes.
opponents, or she like hunches under them, and she gets in their face and she starts talking crap.
Yep.
And so, like, as the fights build up, she's kind of just like trying to create this banner back and forth between her and I. And I've never been one to kind of um, feed into that, because it's just not who I am. I think it's a waste of energy. It's just like, again, if I tried, it probably wouldn't be authentic. But,
Right, for sure.
we squared off at the weigh-ins, and she got in my face, and I'm like here waiting for her to talk some crap to me, and she's like, "What are you gonna do with your money? I'm gonna buy a car." Like, talking to me
I
about
love
like
that.
what she's gonna do.
That is funny. I
And
love
so
that.
I just started laughing, and I was like, I don't know, but I'll probably take my family to Disneyland. I don't know.
I love
And it
that.
was just so funny because it made me think, like, all the other times that people thought that she was talking crap at the weigh-ins. I wonder what she was saying to her opponents. It's just, and it's also too one of those things. It's like perception, right? So the crowd thinks that she's talking crap, but to me, she's like just chatting it up. So I
I
just
like
thought
that.
that was really funny.
That is very cool. And the other
And
one is who was the
then,
most talented, and then who surprised you the most with their ability,
you know, I the last fighter that I fought,
which is Jillian Robertson.
Jillian Roberts, yes. She, and not that she surprised me, but she just was, very honed into her strengths, and as much as we trained for them, as much as we knew what her strengths were, which was heavy top game, that high mount with the heavy ground and pound to submissions. It's like one of those things. It's like you train to defend it and you train to avoid it, but if somebody's so concretely good at it, they're going to get to it. And she was able to get to those positions. And so, yeah, that definitely surprised me. Also, Rose has really good heavy. Rose's ground and pound is probably the heaviest, uh, that out of all the girls that I fought. I really enjoyed fighting Carolina. She's a very sweet girl as well. She gave my daughter her Polish scarf after our fight.
Nice.
It was, let's see. I'm trying to think if there were some other fights that what was the other one that you had said?
The most talented, and it's probably so hard between Rose and Joanna and all these people. I hate to force you to pick one because they're all so good. So if you want to just skip that, and because you mentioned, you know how good they are. Here's the last one. I thought one of the most fun things was when you were fighting Paige Van Zandt, and she came over and did like a little dance thing, and then challenged you, and you were like right on
Yeah.
it, right? That was super cute and fun. I think that was. Then did you expect that? You probably didn't, but you were ready with your dance for sure, aren't you?
I didn't. I wish I probably should have expected it coming from her, because if I would have practiced some different dance moves,
Right.
I had to bust out the sprinkler.
I love it. You did good. I still love the level up video with you and Holly. That was so awesome. If anyone hasn't seen it, it's going back a few years, but that was super, super cool. Whoever's up, because I know we're only going to keep Michelle another 5 minutes. So Danny, Ozzy, whoever's up next, go right ahead.
No, I might go with Ozzy, and then I might do a quick closeout on how all the fans can support Michelle. So Ozzy, over to you.
Okay, so do Ozzy first, and then we'll come back to that at the end. Go ahead, Jason.
All right. Yep. I'll just one more quick question. I was just wondering, with your last fight against Jillian Robertson, obviously you'd already planned your retirement. Did you know that the UFC was going to put on a little farewell package for you while you were having a speech with Joe Rogan, or was it just kind of a happy surprise?
Yeah, I had no idea, honestly. I didn't want really anybody to know, because I didn't want to take anything away from my training for the fight. And like, I still had every intention to win the fight. I just decided that was going to be my last one. And I only told Dana and one other person. And it was very sweet. It was very, it was very, it was very bittersweet, actually, because I had just lost the fight, and no fighter ever wants to go out that way. But at the same time, they kind of highlighted my whole career, and gave me that amazing send off, and I couldn't be more grateful. Dana, I mean, I can't say enough great things about Dana. He's done he's done so much for so many people that nobody will ever know, and he never expects anything back. But it's all the little things that he does, in the background, that us fighters are grateful for.
Love that. Let me get quick predictions here. And then we can go to Danny. Upcoming women's fight: Juliana Pena and Kayla Harrison. Quick thought on that.
Harrison.
Yeah, I think so. She's a beast. She's just going to be hard to. It's amazing she makes 135. Isn't it kind of?
I just think that Pena works well, like in a dogfight. You know, she likes to make it kind of messy and stuff like that. So she can make it messy. You know, she has a really good long, awkward jab, and it worked amazing against Cyborg. Was it Cyborg? No, it was Amanda. No, was it Amanda?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
it was up
yep.
against Amanda, and
Yeah.
I think that kind of threw even Amanda off, like for a loop, because it was just so unpredictable, but it just kept sticking and it kept landing. So Pena, she just has to stick to her guns and not give into that dogfight that she's so used to giving into. And if she can kind of keep that range and not give Kayla Harris that judo range, I think she might be able to take, draw it out at least. But it's just when I think about a 5-round fight, I think that just plays more into Harris's favor, because she has 5 rounds to get her down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it only take her one time to get her down to do her business.
I agree. And then fight's not signed yet, but Manon Fior and Valentina. How would that one play out, do you think? That's a good striking battle, or at least maybe, depending on what Valentina wants to do, huh?
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that, the little when Valentina lost the belt, I think it was more so like a loss of passion on her end, and I think that when she lost it kind of lit a fire in her butt to that it reignited her passion. So I'm excited. I'm hopeful that she is still passionate about it. It's hard to stay passionate when you're on the top all the time and people are constantly chasing you. It's a different type of pressure.
Yeah, for sure. And then co-main event real quick: Merab and Umar. It's tomorrow night.
Yeah, I gotta go for Merab. I think that his pace is just really unbearable, and it's just one of those things that you might be able to kind of like weather first round, but then it's like round 2, round 3, round 4, and then it kind of will slowly break you down, and it's just like no stopping in Merab.
Yeah, he's a beast. They have him as like a 3-1 underdog, which is insane. He's a champ and he's a killer. But I guess that Nurmagomedov name is almost like the Gracie name, essentially, in the millennium here.
I don't know who does these like underdogs, this and that, and I think a lot of it, like, it's funny how people like base these their stats off of, and a lot of it can be like emotionally driven, and so I never ever look at the stats, and maybe that's me being like a biased fighter and hating when people called me the underdog and being pissed, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. And the last one, main event just made today. Arman Sarukian had to back out with a back injury, and we have Money Moicano, the man on the streak, looking for the money against the champ Islam Makhachev. What do you think?
I love that Moicano stepped up to the plate and did this last minute. I love that Makhachev accepted the fight. These boys are crazy. MMA is crazy, and the only person that can get them to sign the dotted line is absolutely Dana White. But they did it. Okay, here's what I have to say. It would be crazy if Moicano won. I think I would just be excited to hear his post-fight interview.
Yes, love them.
He's like more patriotic than some of our American our Americans. I love it. I freaking love it.
Me too.
But I also wish that he had a full training camp for on both ends. I just think that Islam is just too much for him at this point in career.
Yeah, I think so too. Awesome. Danny, I'll throw it to you to wrap it up.
Absolutely. Michelle, I just want to thank you for taking the time to catch up with two Aussie degenerates and Mr. Colin Crandall. Really appreciate your time. As I kind of mentioned earlier, how can the fans support you, follow you, check you out? How can we show some love to Michelle?
Well, I have the best supporters, fans, family, and so if you want, you can continue to show me some love on Instagram, Karate Hottie MMA, and then I'm also on TikTok. I don't know how long that's gonna last, but
right.
TikTok. I'm also trying to build my YouTube channel, so that's just a little harder. It's just a little bit more time consuming, and hopefully you guys will see me more behind the desk. I'm throwing it out there. I'm trying to go out to Australia for the strawweight fight, Wade Lee and
Amazing.
Tatiana.
Yep.
I would love to go out there and see that fight personally, and maybe be behind the desk for that.
Oh, that would be incredible. Well, thank you again, Michelle, for your time.
Thanks so much, Michelle. Much love. Really appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Sending all my love. Mwah.
Thanks so much, hon.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you
All
so
right,
much.
you too.
Thanks.